When it comes to lead generation, there are only two things you need to do: find your ideal customer and collect their contact information. So in this lead generation guide, you're going to learn 7 actionable and free techniques you can use to find your ideal customers, attract them, and of course, convert them so you can continue your sales process. Timestamps below, along with some other helpful videos I'll be referencing as we go through these different techniques. Now, we'll start off the first 3 techniques with how do we actually attract our ideal customers or ideal prospects, and then the next 3 we'll talk about how to convert them and wrap up with what do you do with once you have that contact information. And so while there are a lot of different ways to get people's attention online, content marketing, when it comes to a free lead generation technique, continues to be the best route. Now, don't worry, I'm not saying just make videos or write blog posts for the sake of making videos or making podcasts or blog posts. You're going to be very strategic here because there's specific types of content posts and specific mediums, aka we're not going to talk anything about social media here, that actually will drive the sales process forward. But first, here's what content marketing is as we're going to define it moving forward. Content marketing is about engaging your prospects, educating your potential customers, positioning you as a trusted authority, and of course, and most importantly, seeding the value of your paid offers. And there are 3 types of content posts that you should stick to in order to ensure that every content post that you create is actually pushing forward the sales process as opposed to just being a nice video or blog post that some random person reads, right? So here are the 3. We're going to have how-to, we're going to have reviews, and we're going to have decision guide. Now, don't get hung up on exactly how to create these specific posts. I will link up in the cards and the description to a full-blown content marketing video that walks you step by step exactly how to create each one of these with some examples. Here, I want to talk about the 3 different platforms you should be looking at when it comes to lead generation specifically, because platforms like Pinterest, Instagram, or TikTok, they're not really going to help you all that much when it comes to generating leads, especially in a business environment. However, if we look at podcasting, blogs, and YouTube, there is a lot more opportunity and it's a lot easier to convert leads from those platforms. So kicking things off with the oldie but goodie, and that's going to be blogging. Now, the good news is all the information you need on how to write a great blog and do SEO is available free here on YouTube. You really don't need to pay for any courses when you're just getting started. So I'll link up in the cards and the description to a really great video that goes through everything you need to know when it comes to optimizing your blog post to ranking on Google and other search engines. Now, when it comes to blogging itself, what's very important is you have blog posts that are at least 2,500 words. If you've run into anyone who says, oh, you could just make a 500 or 700 word blog posts, those just straight up do not work anymore. You need at least 2,500 words. And of course, if you're doing a how-to guide, review, or tutorial, you're going to not only have a much better chance of ranking because that content does really well, you'll also have a much better chance of attracting your ideal customer. So when it comes to the blog post itself, you have several options as how you're going to bridge the gap between the content that you've just created and actually converting a lead. And so all you need to do is somewhere in that blog post, just have a call to action to book a strategy call with you, check out one of your lead magnets, which we'll talk about in the final 3 techniques. Or you could just link to an affiliate product or another piece of content that does have a call to action. So you'll find that as you start creating content, not every single piece of content is going to have a call to action to your product or service or lead magnet. It might call people to check out another piece of content that actually has that call to action. So with blogging, one of the main advantages of it is you don't have to physically do it. When it comes to video and podcasting, it doesn't work as well if you just hire some random person to do your videos for you like this one, or if it's someone else's voice on the podcast. So if you have somewhat of a budget, and even though we're talking about free techniques here, this is the one that's easiest to delegate, and you can easily find a great writer who understands your niche or industry and can do all of that blog post writing for you. Now, lead generation technique number 2 here, of course, is going to be podcasting. This is one of the ones I'm weakest on, so I will link up in the cards in the description to a video that walks through how to get started with podcasting. The main advantage here is, of course, you don't have to show your face like the video right here, and it's a great way to attract your ideal customers on the go because they're going to be listening to it on their phone while they're walking around doing house chores or stuck in traffic or whatever, and it's a really good medium to actually build relationships. And of course, you can easily have calls to action within your podcast episodes, telling people to check out the links in the description so that they can go to your landing page or check out another piece of content that ultimately gets them to convert. Now, the final one is my favorite, obviously, and that's going to be video here on YouTube. It is still relatively easy to rank as a small channel. And when it comes to YouTube, because you're going to be creating a how-to post, a review post, or a decision guide that's very specific to your niche or industry, you'll actually find that there's not a whole lot of competition when it comes to actually being successful here on YouTube. And the key is to view YouTube as a search engine as opposed to a social media platform, because you're not competing with the channels that have millions upon millions of subscribers and views who are creating entertainment style content. You're creating educational style content, and that part of YouTube where you're targeting that search box is a lot less competitive. So of course, I'll link up in the cards and the description to a video that could be helpful if you decide YouTube is the route to go. Now, those are the three best mediums, and of course, content marketing I think is the best free way to go about actually attracting. So that's step number one of lead generation. Step number two, of course, is converting. How do we get people who've seen our blog posts, watched a video, or listened to a podcast to actually provide their contact information so you can continue your sales process? Well, obviously just asking for it and giving them nothing in return isn't going to work too well. So this is where something called a lead magnet comes in. And this is something of value in exchange for that contact information. So taking a look at this diagram, what we'll do is we'll drive people to a landing page where we talk about how awesome this lead magnet is, and then we collect either their name and phone number, or we just collect their email. So if your sales process involves you calling people back, then go ahead and ask for that name and phone number. If you can follow up with them via email, and then later on in the process, you can ask for their phone number, then go ahead and just ask for their email. General rule of thumb, the more information you ask for, the less leads you will get. And while there are lots of different types of lead magnet ideas, when it comes to lead generation, especially if you're trying to get someone on the phone with you, there are three types that stand out. Of course, there are a lot more, but these three are best when it comes to lead generation, especially if you have a higher ticket offer. So the first one is going to be the hardest one to do, but this is going to be a special or specific training. And so when you offer this special or specific training, what's very important is it's based upon your own personal experience. This has to be something that's genuinely a secret, or genuinely something that someone would not know unless they had tried to achieve a specific result before. So you can't make a special training where you're just going through the basics of how to use Photoshop, or your first try at baking a cake, or learning how to cook, right? It needs to be something that is genuinely different and genuinely based upon your own personal experience, that they're not going to find just browsing YouTube trying to learn something or learn more about the topic. And so really what we want to do here is have something that we can present or share that the viewer is going to go, whoa, no way, or aha, or oh, I get it. We want to have them have some sort of mini epiphany where that cements you as someone who can be genuinely helpful and valuable. Because after all, if we have a video that just has a bunch of basic information, they're going to wonder why they gave you their phone number or email, and the rest of the sales process isn't going to go very well. Now, of course, creating a video takes a lot of work, which is why this next one is my personal favorite, and it's one that's done the best for us, especially when it comes to lead generation, and that is going to be creating a template. Now, all a template is an easy to follow, fill in the blank process that you're providing to your potential customer. So they're trying to make a decision, they're trying to figure out how to achieve a specific result, and this template is something that's going to come alongside them. Another way to think of it is a worksheet to essentially help them solve the problem that's right in front of them. So as an example, one of our popular templates has been the Google Tag Manager Playbook, and all this document it's about 7 pages, and it helps someone organize and store all of their tags and trigger information as well as their tracking codes, so they have an easy to find place that they can go back to. And of course, it helps them follow along with our process that we follow for naming conventions, as well as, of course, just staying organized with all the tracking stuff out there. Another example, it was our sales funnel organizer, where we had a fill in the blank document where someone could follow our same process that we would go through with ourselves and our clients for actually creating sales funnels funnels and staying organized through that process. Now, both of these one was a PDF, one was a Google Doc, and they don't have to be super complicated. There's not a lot of design that needs to go into this, because what someone is looking for out of this is an easy to follow process so they can achieve a specific result. Now, speaking of achieving a specific result, the third one on our list of lead magnets, which is going to be number 6 overall because I'm losing track here, is going to be a spreadsheet. But pump the brakes, you don't have to create a spreadsheet. If you're not a spreadsheet person and you don't have the budget to hire someone on Fiverr or Upwork, then go ahead and just skip this one. So while it's one of the hardest ones to put together, it can also be one of the most valuable, and that is because most other people who are trying to generate leads don't want to go through the headache of creating a spreadsheet. And one of the best ways to use a spreadsheet is, of course, to do math for your ideal customer. Now, of course, this might not fit every niche or industry, but what's great is nobody really likes doing math. And if you can put together some sort of very simple Excel sheet or Google Sheet where they can plug in their information and all of these calculations are automatically done for them, that will be incredibly valuable. One of our past lead magnets was a paid media calculator. So someone could type in their current conversion information or put in what they think their conversion data was going to be or their marketing budget, and then they could get approximations of how many leads and sales they could expect to get. And obviously that would take a really long time if they were just writing it out, not that anyone would physically write it out. And of course, nobody likes really building Excel sheets from scratch, but we have found they really like using ones that are already done where they just plug in the information and then the answer is given to them. So think of it as you're just giving people the answer as opposed to them having to go do all the calculations themselves. Now, if that's not a fit for your niche or industry, then this next one probably is, and that's going to be some sort of calendar. So this can be a planner helping someone plan out a future plan, or this could be a tracker helping someone track their previous progress. So as an example for our planner, one of the lead magnets that we currently have is a content calendar. So someone can download our Google Sheet and then they have a pre-formatted sheet where they can actually plan out their content. And as an example of a tracker, you're going to help someone keep track of their progress because obviously what isn't measured cannot be improved. So as an example of a tracker, we could help someone outline their goals and then give them a very simple sheet where they could go in on a daily or weekly basis and check in on those goals to make sure that they're taking the actions they need in order to be successful. And that was one of our previous lead magnets as well. So all of these come from real world lead magnets that we have actually tested. So that does it for the 3 techniques to actually get people in the door and the 3 techniques to convert them. Now it's time to talk about what do we do with that name or email. Now, if you collected phone numbers, well, it's pretty simple at this point. You just pick up the phone and you give them a call, right? But if you collected name and email, or as I recommend, just the email, you're going to want to have a 3 to 5 day sequence that gets people to take the next step in the sales process. And of course, the next step could be providing that phone number so you can get on the phone with them, scheduling a strategy call, or it could be checking out a sales page. And of course, whatever you decide to do with your email marketing is a video in and of itself. So I will link up in the description to a email marketing playlist where we take a really deep dive on how to actually put together each one of these emails if you decide to use this sequence, as well as how to have an onboarding sequence and a broadcast sequence. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you have some ideas on how to attract those leads, some lead magnet ideas to convert those leads, and of course, what to do with your emails, those emails once you have them. So hit that like button, subscribe for more marketing tutorials and videos just like this one, and until the next, keep building the business you love.